Everything's cold up there.
Right in the peanut gallery.
YouTube is live.
Okay, good evening and welcome to the May 6th, 2021 meeting of the Litchfield Conservation Commission. Let's see, we start with a roll call of members.
Sure.
Okay, I will start. Matt Lepore, Chairman.
Dawn McKibben, Vice Chair.
Calvin Lynch, Selectmen's Rep.
Diane Clancy, alternate.
Thompson, Secretary, alternate.
Jason Brennan, newly appointed alternate.
There you go.
Roger St. Laurent, member.
Harry Manzigian, member.
Proto member.
Okay, so we have 6 regular members, so that will leave us 1 alternate to appoint. Andrew, we're appointing you to fill that 7th slot for us. Is there any public input related to any non-agenda items? Okay. Hearing none, then without further ado, our first matter of business is a conservation plan. Jay Mankara. And also Jason.
Yeah, so I was going to go first and then
Okay.
Jay was going to follow on. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to talk a little bit about the concept of developing a land acquisition strategy. I think this will dovetail nicely into what Jay is going to be talking about. Mr. Chair, I got about 12 slides. This will take under 5 minutes, so I'm going to whip through it real quick. If you have any questions at the end, that would be good. I've got a PowerPoint presentation up behind you on the screen up there.
Okay.
So Conservation Commission members, the Conservation Commission's Land Acquisition Fund currently has $1.035 million in it. I bet you that number is a surprise to some folks sitting around the table here. In addition, the Conservation Commission has access to something called the Farmland Capital Reserve Fund. That has $125,000 sitting in it, and that's been sitting in there for over 20 years, untouched. In seeing these meetings over the past several years, something that I've noticed is that there's been limited action in regards to land acquisition lately. Over the past 6 years, we haven't purchased anything, and developing and executing a strategy should be a priority because we've got a bunch of money in the bank. Here's the bad news, and quite frankly, here's the frustrating news, is that the Conservation Land Acquisition Fund is currently maxed out due to inactivity, and we can no longer accrue any more money through the land use change tax. So as of right now, we are now losing money. There is as of 2 weeks ago, there was $1.035 million in the bank. That 35,000 is gone. Any money that we accrue through the land use change tax, gone, because we max out at $1 million. So as soon as the horse farm goes through and the land use change tax hits, we're going to lose 100 grand. So we're basically taking nearly $200,000 of money that should be put forth to purchase property, gone out the window. So I think that's something we got to figure out pretty quickly. And there have been missed opportunities. Properties have come up for sale that were not acted on. So here's the good news, is that conserving land is definitely an important thing to the citizens of Litchfield based on the 2020 poll that happened last fall. Investing in conservation land was a top priority for citizens, and it was very high on the list. It wasn't too far below a new elementary school and a new police station. Wasn't too far below that. And there were 4 main themes after looking through the comments there, 4 main themes from residents. They wanted to absolutely protect the character of the town. They wanted to protect historic and natural resources in our farmland. They wanted to be able to have access to passive recreational opportunities and educational opportunities, and they wanted to protect land from development. The CIP committee took note of this. And in fact, the CIP committee recommended raising $2 million between 2021 and 2026 specifically for land acquisition. $666,000 apiece, 3 different warrant articles. And I can tell you this, knowing Mr. Cutter on the budget committee, this will never happen unless we have a land acquisition strategy. They're not just going to let this go through unless we have our act together. It'll never happen. And as part of this, we need to make sure that we're identifying our properties of interest, evaluating and ranking them, aligning this with the master plan, looking at grant programs, and documenting a physical strategy. And what we have to do this is just roll up our sleeves, get the map out on the table, inventory properties that are desirable for acquisition. And then something that we use in the industry is something called ranking criteria. We need to develop our criteria, figure out if each piece of property, how close it is to other conservation land. Is it on 3A? Is it on the river? Is it publicly accessible? Is it historic? Will it protect natural resources? Rank those things, figure out, weight them, shake and bake all the data, all the pieces of property that you have, and come up with a strategy that looks long-term, thinks strategically, references that master plan, leverages grant funding, and most importantly, that bottom bullet, we will go nowhere unless we have trusting relationships with landowners. So we got to make sure that we're developing trusting relationships, mutual beneficial relationships with the landowner. Last two slides, Mr. Chairman. Another couple things that I think we should work on this fall is we need to strongly consider working on a warrant article to amend that process and getting rid of that $1 million cap and move that $1 million cap up to 2.5 or $5 million. The kicker is that if a big piece of property comes up for sale, like one of Wilson Farms pieces, it's going to cost more than $1 million, and we can't only have $1 million in the bank. So if we take a look at all these things and we look forward and develop a path forward, we can put together a plan that will protect the character of the town as well as the natural and historic resources. And I think that's something that we should consider moving forward. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
You make it,
Oh, well, Marion raised her hand first.
Oh, go ahead.
Roger.
Budget committee took away a lot of the money, the reserves.
I think it was 2012 or 2014, a Warrant article bumped it from whatever it was to $1 million.
And up to then purchased conservation land.
Yeah.
It has gotten opportunities because I never knew the number was that high. That's me personally.
Something to consider for the board, Mr. Chairman, maybe every single month, have a financial report that lists where we're at, because if no one knew we were near the ceiling, you might have acted on something.
But nowhere near $1 million, $1 million plus.
Hmm.
Figure. Targeted for.
Yeah, so to my understanding, and Mr. Chairman can probably answer this, that it's targeted for purchases of land, and then there was a change recently. Maybe Matt, you can explain this, that it can be used for some other operational related items.
That was the change on the $1 million fund. The 125,000 was an old farmland fund from when Pat Jewett had started it. So that's that
Oh.
smaller one is.
Excuse me, the 125,000 can be used for farmland purchase.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's written that way.
For that.
I
On
think
the
you-
smaller,
for that,
smaller
account,
amount,
yes.
3A.
smaller amount.
Any piece of farmland that's on 3A, I think you could use that money for that.
Right.
The 120.
3A page, anywhere up through there. Got farmland going all through there. Same down on Route 3A by ice cream place.
I agree that that warrant article should be really looked at and changed this coming next March and try and change. And if that's a high priority for the public, then I think that they would back that.
Can you do a financial? Yes.
Okay, I believe I can, that
You
information.
should be getting the budget now every week.
Yes, I can send that out. Okay. Roger, I believe you had a question.
Yeah, I kind of take exception to some of the comments that you've made. we have not been sitting on our hands, on our laurels. There are several pieces of property that we've looked at in the past 5 to 6 years, and none of them really suited what we thought would be beneficial for the town. And we've let this little nest egg build up because we've been waiting for several pieces of property to come up for sale in which it would be a large capital expense. And that's one of the reasons why we have the money that.
That's all the more reason why we're working this evening on establishing a plan or a plan of action and prioritizing this so we can kind of be organized in our effort.
But had you known that you were at the limit,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
would you have made different choices?
Probably not, because all the pieces of land that we have looked at in the past several years, we just considered them not suitable for what we were trying to try to accomplish.
It's
Where was
unfortunate.
what was what we were trying to accomplish in regard to the plan that Joan sent out that was done in 2003?
Right, we've been trying to look at plans, parcels of property that abut our established pieces of property. Now, a lot of properties that came up were just small here and there, and it really would have been just not of any real use to the town.
Is there another plan besides the one that Joan sent out?
We did buy that 66 acres off Birch and Laurel recently. That was the last big purchase.
But I mean, we have not been just sitting on it. We will, there's a couple pieces that we really would like to buy, but they either haven't come up for sale or,
One is assessed
yeah.
wrong, I think.
Talking about the $500,000 one that we went through, that we can't do anything with?
I'll talk about that in non-public.
Mary, go ahead.
I think when they capped us at the 1 million, it really was a zinger type thing, because at that point we had accumulated a lot of money. And we had been actively pursuing and buying land at that point. And then when they capped it, it brought us way down.
Mhm.
So we've been slowly trying to build it back up. I haven't seen it grow in any major amount in the past couple of years.
2012 or 14 when that land was half of what it is right now. So it might seem like a lot back in 2012.
Right, that's a good reason another good reason to get it changed.
in this market.
Hey,
Can I ask a question?
yes.
Past practice, Roger, you mentioned that you had pieces in mind. And were you looking at just conservation land and also open space farmland when you decided this? Or you're trying to looking at connecting pieces to what you have?
Kind of all of the above.
Yeah, all of the above. I agree. Can't force somebody to sell their land.
Right.
Why? All right. Okay.
Excellent presentation, Jason. And I guess
Do you want to have Jay?
Jay's
Yep.
next.
I was just going to turn it
Okay.
over to him. Yep. Yeah. So Jay, if you want to take the helm here.
Happy to jump in. I think that was a great presentation, and it really does dovetail very nicely. Can everybody hear me?
Oh,
Oh,
God.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hear a little bit of an echo. I mean, really, I think, Joan had reached out to me to talk about the possibility of doing a conservation plan, a natural resources plan, updating what you've done. It's been obviously quite some time. I think seems like this is a really opportune time to undertake, a plan of that nature. For the most part, a lot of it is a matter of just updating existing data. updating mapping, and a lot of the information that is out there now probably isn't going to be a whole lot of change. We would be looking at all the water resources, soils, slopes, etc. So most of that hasn't changed, although some of the threats may have changed, and that's something that would be important to address, as well as some of the best management practices have certainly changed. I think ultimately the outcome, I guess I'll back up a little bit. I mean, really the starting point of a good plan is understanding what your goals are. And you've already been having some conversation, around that this evening. I think ultimately in terms of outcomes and recommendations, those are going to fall for the most part into two buckets. One of those is certainly going to be developing a land acquisition, or I should say land protection strategy. Land protection strategy includes acquisition. It also includes the potential of looking at regulatory strategies and policy strategies as well. So those would really ultimately be the recommendations that come out of the plan. Clearly, there's a huge interest in developing a strategy around land acquisition. So I would see that absolutely being key. But I would just also not want to lose sight that there are other land protection strategies and natural resources protection strategies that we would also want to look at. So again, a big part of this would be a mapping exercise and a lot of data collection that we would do. We would do an analysis of the existing town regulations, also look at changes in state law, federal law, most notably MS4 requirements. That's been a significant change in terms of how we have to manage stormwater over the past few years. Certainly, we'd be addressing threats to both surface water and groundwater. Obviously, we would want to address issues such as PFAS, which is obviously something that's had a significant impact on the community. That wasn't something that we were looking at several years ago. And hopefully, I do think this is important because it touches on a number of the things that have already been spoken about this evening, is having a public engagement process be a part of that planning effort. And I will say that's not always true. When we do conservation plans, natural resources inventories, a lot of it really is data focused, and it's really focused around the work of the Conservation Commission or a subcommittee. But having the public involved in developing the plan and the strategy, helps to really invest them in what those recommendations are. And if there is going to be a strategy around land acquisition, if there is going to be a effort to get increased funding through the budget committee, as was recommended in the CIP, as well as something like lifting the cap at town meeting, and perhaps implementing other strategies that could happen through planning board subdivision and site plan regulations, could happen through zoning amendments. Those are all going to require, obviously public consent. The public is going to have to get behind these. These are issues that they're going to have to vote on. So, I would just say, to the extent that the commission were comfortable and having a public input process, I think that would really be helpful and really important in developing the strategies and recommendations. So that's just going to be blabbing on a little bit, but happy to answer questions that anybody might have.
Anyone have any questions?
What would be the lead time on this, Jay?
Kicking it off, I mean, it sounds like timing matters. I would probably be looking at a couple of months to kick it off, depending on, really, if the commission's anxious to get going sooner, we could probably get going as soon as probably 6 weeks. I was thinking July 1, but it could happen sooner if there is that sense of urgency.
And what would the cost be to the commission?
We'd estimated $4,500.
Thanks.
I have a couple questions. Jay, what would the title of this plan, what would this plan be called on the cover of the report?
I would suggest calling it, the Litchfield Conservation Plan and Natural Resources Inventory.
Okay.
Particularly since the NRI is really the plan that the Conservation Commission is statutorily required to have. So I think combining both of those would make sense to me. If obviously there's flexibility in that. and, you know, we could talk about what that title could look like, but my assumption would be, unless you wanted it to be a freestanding document, that the land acquisition strategy would be a part of the plan itself.
Go ahead.
You're talking about, mostly about land acquisition. We have a bunch of properties that we don't necessarily walk on all the time to look at. And I think that the upkeep on these properties, or at least assessing what is out there, should also be something we need to look at. You know, at one point, there were reports on a lot of the endangered species that we have in Litchfield. And I mean, I found little salamanders in my yard, but I don't know one salamander from the other. But, you know, I'm sure with the growth in this town, a lot of our species are on the decline, whether endangered or not. You know, and I know there are properties that have gone downhill in the past 15 years because nobody has worked on the upkeep or worked to improve them. And this has become a problem.
And I would just add to that, if I could, that a land acquisition strategy is one outcome. You're looking at a conservation plan, so the intent of the conservation plan is to come up with a strategy for protecting all of Litchfield's natural resources. Land acquisition is one strategy. I think you're absolutely right. You know, maintenance is certainly, and protection of existing lands is a strategy. And then there are also almost certainly going to be regulatory strategies as well. And when I say land acquisition, of course, I think, you know, we all understand that that can mean easements as well as outright acquisition. It's also how property is developed. So that's when we talk about you know, potential looking on the regulatory side or the policy side, that includes subdivision and site plan regulations, which really do have a direct influence on how property is developed and is it developed in a way that maximizes protection for natural resources.
Sure.
One thing about it, buying land is one thing, just let it sit there is not always the smartest thing to do. Forestry as well. Get it a better thing. There's land in this town that we all heard that could be logged nicely. And still, we get an income from that. Still saving, well, what we're trying to say, habitat. As it is now in Litchfield, they logged, they stripped and built homes. Habitats have all changed. If we get places that we can work together, it'd be wise to do that with some of the land.
Been working on as far as the
Yes, we did.
tails.
Yeah,
Going nowhere.
no, because they can't swim next to the river.
And Moore's Falls
I don't
was
think
one.
it's the re-
I believe we're also going to be discussing that with the harvest at the State Forest.
I'm bad.
We can give them wings.
All right,
Mr. Chair, I have one last question.
go ahead.
Will we receive and this is to Jay, will we receive a scope of work from you, just kind of outlining the proposed services and maybe a table of contents so we can take a look at what you're thinking and proposing?
Yes, I'd be happy to do that.
Diane?
Did we vote that we definitely wanted to do this?
We haven't yet, no.
No.
Okay. Because looking at the one from 2003 and the fact that it kind of sat there,
Mhm.
I just want to make sure that it's a very worthwhile project, but are we going to use it? Is it going to be something that does become our Bible? Are we gonna make revisions to it when it's necessary? Is it going to become living and breathing, or is it just going to sit in a file folder? If that's the case, $4,500. Just a point.
What's changing and maybe.
I think it's an important strategy to have, but you're right, it is dependent on our ability to use it, but, yeah. Should we, are we looking for a motion this evening to expend the funds?
No, I think,
Okay.
no, we should wait till we get the scope of work.
Okay,
Yeah, that was
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
can get that to you prior to your next meeting.
Okay,
you.
perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Have a nice day.
Sure. Night, everybody.
Good night. Great. Next on the agenda, Renee Thoreau, gas station driveway proposal. Tonight, Mr. Thoreau.
Good evening, members of the board and Mr. Chair. My name is Morgan Hollis. I'm an attorney in Nashua, and I'm here representing Mr. Thoreau, who is also on. And I also have Jim Petropoulos of Hayner Swanson, and he is here, and he is going to share a couple of plans on the screen. I'll just give a brief introduction. Mr. Thoreau's property, Thoreau Development, owns the property next to your land on Charles Bancroft Highway, immediately to the south. We have been before you on the proposed project for Thoreau Development LLC. It is on the screen before you. It's a convenience store, and it is a gas station. During the course of preparing the plan and getting ready to submit it, we also applied to the state of New Hampshire for a driveway permit. And lo and behold, we discovered that there's a problem. This parcel is considered part of another parcel, the land immediately to the south, for purposes of one of their regulations, which limits the number of driveways on a state highway. In this particular instance, the two parcels together were allowed 3 driveway curb cuts. Unfortunately, the property to the south already has 2 driveway curb cuts, and we have only 1, therefore available. We approached the property to the south, and because that is a mixed use, there's a residential and a commercial, and they have the 2 driveways, they would really like to keep them, and it doesn't make it feasible that we could somehow acquire that driveway. So our next approach is to look to the property to the north, and that's your property. And in doing that, we discovered before we would come before you, we did a little bit of research and found out there's a restrictive covenant on your property in favor of no development, in fact, no paving, no commercial or industrial use. So that kind of limits our options for using your driveway somehow or sharing your driveway. And of course, we would have to get DOT's permission no matter how we did it. So we've kind of put our heads together. We've had some conversation with DOT. We have not talked with Fish and Game, who also holds the restrictive covenant. And we decided we'd like to come to you to present a possibility for you to think about and give us feedback on. And that possibility is we would keep the plan as it, well, the first possibility is up on the screen right now. And that is we would move the boundary line. As shown, there's a dotted line, and the dotted line is the current boundary line. What we would do is do a change of the boundary line, and we would put our driveway where your driveway is. We would give you some land, and we would acquire some land. And in the course of doing so, we would ask that the covenants on the land we're acquiring be lifted, and we would impose the covenants on the land we're conveying to you. We would also give you an easement off of the driveway so that access to your property you would come in off of Charles Bancroft, almost where you come off now, but it would be paved. Then you would take an immediate right, and then there would be a parking area, and we would, of course, improve the parking area for you however you want it. We can't pave it, but we would improve it. The second option is leave the boundary as it is, and leave the plan as it is, and have you assign your rights to the driveway over to us. And then we would grant you an access easement off of our existing plan as it's shown now. In other words, you would give up your driveway, and then you would come in off of our driveway. And then we would improve and obviously grant a driveway access so you could come through our property to get to your property. We would improve your parking lot, but you would not have a driveway any longer. And so that's the second one. And the third option is sort of a spin-off of the first one, which is We would keep the boundary line as it is, but you would grant us an easement and you would release the restrictive covenant on that portion. And of course, Fish and Game would have to go along. So those are the three options that we could find. But no matter what, the one thing, positive thing is we would improve your access, we would improve your signage, and we would upgrade whatever parking lot you wanted, however you wanted it. And we would be happy to work with you on that. The problem for all three of these scenarios is that the restrictive covenant on your property precludes any paving or any commercial use. So the choice of an easement to us and paving, not changing the boundary line, is probably going to be difficult. It's the same lift of the restrictive covenant that would occur if you sold the land, but at least if you sold it, your land would remain intact with the covenant on all of the land, and you wouldn't have a driveway or a commercial activity on your property. DOT would have to approve any driveway, no matter where it is, on your land, on our land. If you sold us your driveway right and closed off your driveway and came in on our existing property, which we think makes the most sense. I don't know if DOT will approve that, and I don't know if you like that. This is the plan that would show that. And we would just come off the northern end and allow you access, build a driveway directly to your parking area. So those are the three scenarios. We've talked to DOT. DOT is willing to listen to whatever the town thinks. We have not talked to Fish and Game, but our first stop was here at the Conservation Commission because you control the land. And if the answer is we really don't want to give up our driveway and we really don't want to share our driveway, nor do we want to assign it and come off of your driveway, then that's where we are. We think we can help you with some of your concerns about what's occurring on that property. Nobody's there to monitor it. As you know, people can park, they're behind landscaping. But if you came off a driveway which we controlled, either on your property, on our property, either way, the convenience store would really keep an eye on what's going on because it is essentially part of their driveway, and they would be your eyes and ears. So it might help you in that respect. So those are the things we're bringing to the board. And Mr. Chair, we just would like to hear from the Conservation Commission what they think or what they hear. And then our next step would be to DOT and Fish and Game. No matter what choice and recommendation you make, if it's a positive one, it would still have to go to town, Board of Selectmen, and in all likelihood, a vote at the next town meeting. So we're kind of starting out ahead of the game and hoping to hear from you. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'm going to apologize, but I have another Zoom meeting going on that I'm supposed to be at. I'm going to turn it over to Jim and Renee, who can listen to you. I don't know that there's anything else I would offer other than those three options, and Jim can describe what goes on in the plan if you have questions. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, for the record, I'm going to abstain from the conversation only because I'm the chair of the planning. Great.
Can I ask some questions?
Yes.
Jim, are you out there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Definitely the trading of land would have to go to a town meeting or talk to the town administrator about that. So that's one issue. The other issue is I thought that DOT would not let us give you our access if we closed our access and put it over to your land. I thought they weren't going to go for that.
Well, our traffic consultant, Heather Montecalm from GPI, had an initial follow-up conversation, and actually, we were somewhat pleased to learn that they would, entertain the notion. I think they're, as Morgan said, I think they're kind of seeking, the town's temperature on this, and to see if it's something that can be worked out, then I think they would take a harder look at it.
I was out there today. Is a chance that you could, before you made a decision, stake the property line down at least as far as behind, from 3A down to where the pavement would end for the gas station?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Jason?
Mr. Chair and Mr. Croto, I believe I saw a planning board meeting 2 nights ago in which they split the piece of property just south that convenience store,
Correct.
which would mean that they no longer have 2 egresses, they have 1 egress. So I don't know if that helps you out, Renee, but you might want to tune into the planning board, what happened last night. There was a subdivision in the lot just south of you. And the Edwards garage got split out onto its own lot, and the house is now on its own lot, so they have 1 driveway each.
If I may, sir, a little backstory. What the DOT wants to know is what was the status of this property in 1970 or 71? So we're going back 50 years. And this parcel was part and parcel with the property to the south. The property to the south has a single-family home with its own driveway. It had the auto facility with its own driveway, and that left Renee with 1 driveway. We think the action, and I didn't see last night's planning board hearing, but we think the action was, and that was all on 1 parcel. We think the action was to finally split it because they're 2 different uses, and each lot has its own driveway, as we understand it. And so at the end of the day, it's three driveways for that property in its configuration in 1971.
Question. Kevin Lynch here. The DOT, what they're referring back is when the original owner owned all the parcels there. Grant Smith owned the piece of land where they pose now. Grant Smith owned the garage and the house and across the street too. They're restricting him from what happened to something back in 1971. Things have changed. One, the ownerships have changed. You could subdivide Renee's piece, get 2 driveways potentially. Okay, so the purpose is, why is the DOT making this difficult? In the first place, doesn't make any sense. Okay,
Yeah. I'm not sure we can answer that. You know, we were a little caught, the whole development team was caught a little bit off guard by, a 50-year look back.
Well, yeah, things changed in 50 years. They put a bridge up north of there.
Kevin,
That's
Mrs. Berg ran into the same issue. They wanted a 1971 tax map and Mrs. Berg subdivided. Thing.
You have the 1971 tax map at the old storage building. Okay.
I have a suggestion. I don't know about the rest of you. I think that listening to all this, that what we should do is have a discussion, a non-public session for this situation. Take Joan's recommendation, have him stake out what you had said.
For the lot lining.
Yeah. Do a walk, go over there and walk the property. But I think as far as an open forum, I think it should be done in a non-public session, and then the results we can forward to these folks.
Can we have a non-public
Yeah, no,
session?
that's not gonna be-
I don't think that's
I
possible.
don't think it's non-public.
Okay.
I'm just saying, it's gotta be public. I think what we ought to do tonight is take it under advisement. Think about it and get the old stuff. Referring to the tax maps, there are some here. I do know where they are.
Yeah, because I need more information.
Yeah,
mean,
I understand what you're
saying. Half of that, I really don't understand what they're saying.
Land changes all the time. Ownership changes all the time.
I
and things change.
understand all that.
The state's referring to something back when we were a farm. One business there,
Yeah.
okay?
My concern is trading land. We've run into
Uh-huh.
situations where we traded land and end up on the
I know,
short end of the stick.
I concur.
So I need more information.
I agree. the planning board is working on providing us more information, I would hope.
Well, it's an interesting situation.
Okay.
And know that Attorney Hollis, it was a surprise to him, and he's been doing this now how long?
Years.
Long time.
Time. So
DOT
This
has
isn't
changed a
something
lot.
that's-
DOT has changed a lot in the last years.
Renee,
Yes, Joan.
can you, have Heather forward that DOT ruling that they're using? I think she may have, but I
I
could
think
be.
I've done that, but I can do that again. It's not a problem.
Thank you.
Or you can bring it across the street, I'll do it for you.
Sure.
Switch back to see their faces.
See Renee's face?
Hard to tell who's-
Whose microphone?
You don't, Mike.
Okay.
We'll take it under
Yeah,
advisement.
take it
Renee.
under advisement.
So, if,
Jim, will
if
you
I,
let me know when that property
Yeah.
line gets staked?
yeah, Joan, so if I'm clear, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tall stake, if you can see my screen, I'm gonna tall stake this point right here. And then I'll come back with a couple of stakes right on the property line.
Okay,
I'll tall stake this point, and this point. So you can essentially see that triangle that would be impacted.
I see him.
okay, and then can you go? All right, so we can see where the property line is and then just
Right.
eyeball it back.
That's
Okay,
correct.
This other triangle is the equal land area swap. It's about 0.25 acres, but it's really in the woods. You probably wouldn't see much of anything there. I'm
Right.
happy to stake it if you'd like.
no, I just wanted to see where the property line was in reference to
Okay.
the stream that starts further down. And I don't know,
Okay.
is there a bound out on 3A?
Um, I think there is, but it's easy for us to do it. We'll take care of it.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
It's right next to Paul.
So do you guys want to do like a walkthrough? After he stakes it?
Yeah.
I think that would be beneficial, yeah.
Sure.
We'll do a walkthrough when we get up there.
Okay.
Be right next to the road.
Matt, I have a question. Have you guys considered, or is it possible to potentially build the driveway that's in coordination with Edwards Auto to the south and take their land instead of ours? Or is
So-
there wetlands in between there?
Yeah, there is, in the brook.
Limit Brook, yes. We would like to communicate to the commission that we did spend effort in communicating with our neighbor to the south. We explored several different options about combining their driveways, several different areas to address this problem. Here's Limit Brook. We think it would be very difficult to get a combined access and then have to cross the brook. And so it just wasn't able to get worked out to the property to the south.
So do we need to take a vote on taking some advisement?
Yeah, I don't think we do. I think we're just gonna, we'll
Take it out of the-
Yeah.
And then we'll,
make a decision next time after we.
and if they get it staked within this, well, they'll get it staked within this month, then maybe we can get together and get out there this month.
Why don't you find out if it's staked? This
We'll stake it next week, Joan, and I'll let you know when it's staked.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Right every day.
Okay. Good. Excellent. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for your time. Thank you and your consideration.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, next vacancy, full member. So we have one full-time member position open. I have received 3 different recommendations for alternate members. We need to recommend somebody to the Board of Selectmen who will then appoint the full-time member. I received correspondence from Marion. Marion is interested. And Jason nominated Diane, and Diane nominated Jason. So I'll open it up to the board, if anybody has, if anyone is interested in the position or would like to recommend somebody else.
I may have to abstain being a selectman's rep.
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually.
I would like to recommend Andrew as a full-time member.
Right, motion is second. Any discussion?
Well, it was just a recommendation, it wasn't really, just
Oh,
adding it into the
oh.
recommendation pool.
Sorry,
Anybody else?
okay.
I think Andrew is probably the longest alternate that we've had so far, and it's only fair that he should be part of the board.
Okay. I believe he is our longest serving alternate currently.
2018.
Okay. Jason?
I know I'm new here and I'm speaking a lot tonight,
Mhm.
but I've seen every single meeting over the past 4 years. I've been to many of these meetings. I think these three folks actually deserve to be full-time members.
Mhm.
But to me, from the outside looking in, I look at what Diane does.
Mhm.
She's at every single site walk. She's at every single trash pickup day. When the guy from the state came in, she was the one that was here. She's doing things outside the bounds of this meeting, bringing in people, talking with property owners, putting new initiatives like the community garden, bringing in the photographer, doing things that are well above and beyond the 1 hour meeting that we have here every week.
Mhm.
And because of that, and because her passion and commitment, I think it's hard to not look at what she's done outside of these meetings. And that's nothing against Andrew or Marion whatsoever,
Mhm.
because I think all three of them deserve to be on here, because I see all three of them working outside these meetings, but
Sure.
she's gone above and beyond,
Sure,
in
it's
my
definitely,
opinion.
definitely a tough decision, a lot of options.
Give me invasive species.
Sting you.
Anybody else? I'd like to.
Motion to vote for a full member.
To recommend an individual to become, to the selectmen for appointment. Roger.
Mr. Chairman, I vote that we move to elect Andrew to the full-time position of a member of this board.
Technical we need to be, but just that we're recommending.
We're recommending to the select.
Yeah.
The motion to recommend to the
Yeah. Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
second.
Okay, Joan seconded first. Any discussion?
I need to abstain.
You can if you want.
If you want.
I don't think you have to. Right? Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oh, can everyone keep their hands up, please? I'm sorry. Roger, was your hand up? You said aye.
Aye.
6, all right. Any opposed, abstained? I think that was everyone, so 6-0-0. I will send an email over to the selectmen this evening, letting them know of our decision or recommendation. Okay,
Congratulations.
next up, proposed amendment to bylaw. Next up, proposed amendment to bylaw, Article 2, Section C. So I was reading through the bylaws for the commission, and I saw one that not too sure how I felt about it. Article 2 is for the purpose of the commission. Line C relates to land management, and it is for the commission to manage such acquired land until such time as it properly becomes the responsibility of another town organization. So I don't know about anybody else, but I am of the opinion that the Conservation Commission should be managing conservation properties itself in perpetuity. Even if that means that we have volunteers or another organization do it on our behalf, or another organization wants to assist. But that's just my opinion, because I couldn't be a little concerning if we're handing off responsibility for conservation land to another entity. Diane?
The river access is kind of an example of that. I don't have a firm opinion on it either way, but the river access was turned over to rec to manage, to keep that gate closed. They're responsible for attachment of that drive.
Yeah,
So that's kind of an example, I think, of what they were thinking, but I have no feeling.
so I think specifically with that one, that property was designated to be more recreation oriented, and we have a memorandum of understanding with them that they manage specifically that portion.
And this came way before.
This is,
No, I was using it as an example, not as well.
Sure.
Right.
It isn't- It's from 1990.
Really, you don't have an issue the way it's written. Okay, to manage as required land until such time as is properly becomes the responsibility of another town. It could be any way, anything happened there. They want to use it for something else, we all agree? Agrees, that's what it means. Okay? Say that it's gonna be rec commission land, conservation land or something like that, I'm not a fan of saying that. Okay? We got it for that reason,
You're not a fan of saying what? Say it again?
strictly conservation.
Oh.
Okay? Other recreational uses allowed. Similar to what you just did with the boat
Yeah.
area. You know? So I'd look at it, you delegated it to us to have a double function.
Yeah, and this doesn't say you have to hand it over to another one.
No, it does not say you have to, it
Okay.
just says, that's old writing skills.
Yeah.
That's my feeling, guys.
How would you change it?
if it relates specifically to, we could perhaps also reword it so that we're talking specifically about conservation land. If we
The
want to-
first part takes care of that. The other ones above, take care of all that.
But then we're making sure that we're managing that land that is intended to be conservation.
Until you, this same group puts it into somebody's hands like they already have. That's fine.
Okay, go ahead. Get it?
Was it
Came in
proper
on the
range?
microphone really loudly. No,
Oh,
he
the
had the
bug.
headphones in and those microphones.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think we still should.
Well, you have.
Yeah. So again, I guess that's specifically what I'm speaking of, is that since this is our responsibility, I think that it just kind of seems like a good idea to keep that uniform, that responsibility over conserved land.
You already are.
I might have misinterpreted it.
I understand. They were, until such time something's changed,
Such time as it.
okay? And that's, you're in charge till then.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
On issue then. All right.
Good point for clarification.
Yeah, and
The
yeah,
bylaws don't get enough discussion in my.
sure. Yeah. Well, and ultimately, that's the most important thing, is that we're bringing this to everyone's attention and making sure we're on the same page.
If anything, Matt, Mr. Chair, it could use, I'm sitting there reading it on my phone, so it's small, but if it was reworded, it might just be simply one word. And to manage such acquired land until such time that it becomes the responsibility of another organization. You know, one word might help clarify that.
Mhm.
As in there, it sounds kind of funny, but.
All right. If no one has an issue with it, I think we can put a pin in that. Move on. Next, establish policy on land management, which kind of ties into that, and I think largely it also talks about making sure that we're monitoring the properties and the boundaries. I went on a site walk with Londonderry Conservation Commission back in late 2019, and we received some spectacular information from them, and I experienced how they monitor their their land and going on the boundaries and checking to see how they're upkeeping their properties. I think we printed out or shared with everybody the checklists for when they actually do field site walks. And just kind of, I wanted to make sure that we were kind of visiting this and making sure that we're consistently doing activities that we should on these properties.
We had at one time assigned everybody a property and we have a form to go out and check the property and put, you know, what you see and if there are any discrepancies or any litter or whatever. And I think we've done that, so
Okay.
we had started that,
Similar to a preambulation.
similar.
But I definitely think we should start doing that more actively and everybody should be involved in these activities. And trash cleanup, that's a big one, particularly at Morris Falls. That's almost a weekly thing.
Well, it's been pretty good this week.
Yeah, it's been.
This week.
Yeah, it changes drastically, especially with the river. It's probably a little high and we got a lot of trash. It's an issue in and of itself. But I just wanted to keep that in everyone's mind. Oh, Andrew, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention, I didn't know if you were going to bring up with this, the keeping up on the land, with the acquisition of the tools, the online tools now, I sent it to you.
Yeah.
The paper form is now a digital form that I created. So everybody could go out and use their phone or a tablet, easily jot down the information on the properties. Just mentioning that,
Yeah.
it's now a possibility.
Piece of paper don't work no more.
Not anymore, no.
I use those, I don't use my phone on. Often.
A lot of
Yeah.
people are moving towards the digital collection, and it's just a more modern technology, and it's shareable, easily shareable to everybody, and so it's just.
At the Recreation Commission assigns responsibilities for certain things to different members on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis.
Yeah.
So for example, Andy Ruggles might be responsible for overseeing Dara Pond or checking out the trash at Dara Pond for a month, and then it flips to somebody else. And they actually state that during the meeting, and they hand somebody the ball during the meeting and say, you got Dara Pond this month. That person says, yep, I'm going to focus on it. And they go down, make sure the trash is cleaned up. They do that type of thing. So that's something to consider. Then at least somebody knows they have the ball to do
Okay.
something.
So we should probably go through and establish a list of tasks that need to be done periodically, and then we can kind of divvy those out.
And Bible of land properties too, so you have it, you know, they will look at it. A lot of people where lines are.
Yeah.
Like the bathroom check at the supermarket as a kid. Check this, yes.
There's still a thing.
It's a good
I
idea
always used the woods.
to have maybe like in the spring and in the fall, have a group of us go out and sort of take a day maybe or something, or like a weekend or something, if we're available, and sort of review the properties and maybe walk them and get a sense, you know, of what is needed. That's another possibility as well.
Thing too is get maps here where you can look at them instead of having a copy of out of that file, have another one somewhere else so we can get them copied. Have something we go working.
Because that
We
way,
have, we have a public map of walkable property. Gordon Drive. Well, get out there and get those tires out of there. I don't think so.
They were there before the
I know
road
a
was
couple
built.
people with tractors. Hey, you're all.
They're gonna get stuck in that one too. Down there.
So that's just something to keep in mind. We want to get the ball rolling on that. So if by next meeting we can revisit this with a list and strategy. I had these bullet points, so I don't think I'm gonna use them. All right, next up, drought. So we have entered a moderate drought. We've been getting some rain, but according to the National Weather Service, I don't think we've actually exited.
No, tonight's, we're
status.
still moderate,
We just moved into moderate.
yeah.
Yeah. And I believe that they were forecasting a similar drought this year as compared to last year. And you can find information on that from drought.gov. That's an NOAA site, and they are monitoring drought conditions nationwide.
You can find, did you say, you can find? through
Yes, drought.gov is, I think all you have to type in and it comes right up.
That ground is still saturated with, I mean, the water is going right now. A lot of areas that water used that still aren't.
And it is a concern. And
Big fire in Pelham.
yeah, and kind of on that line, the Litchfield Fire Department, I believe, was present for that fire, and I spoke to the fire chief, and at some point I hope to receive some information from him and his staff regarding fire danger with these droughts, so that people can think twice before they throw that cigarette out, or
Did I hear though that it was from someone firing in like a spark from a gun?
I believe so. Yeah, I think that was
Where was,
this is in Pelham, and it burned about 32 acres
Yeah,
of land,
32
and I
acres.
believe it might have been conservation land over there as well,
Yeah.
Gumpus Pond.
well, the other problem too with that 32 acres is that if it was conservation land and the Conservation Commission in Pelham did absolutely nothing to clean that land or anything, because I used to go that way all the time, and that was one big mess. That was waiting to happen. The leaves were just always there. The brush was always there.
We have similar problems.
Yeah, that was if it was what'd you say, Diane? Supposedly a firearm started the fire.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Did hear that, yeah.
But yeah, that's
Definitely want
definitely,
to talk about smoking. I haven't really seen people smoking
Yeah.
in the woods. They're usually
I-
puffing and puffing it.
But anyway,
have-
as far as prohibiting smoking on the conservation areas,
Should be done.
and again,
It's by my house, yeah.
how are you going to do that?
It's unenforceable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I
You recommend
agree
no
that there
smoke.
should be,
About it, though. We
right,
can definitely talk about it.
right.
well, what we could do is what we usually end up doing is we can put some sort of communication at the entrance.
Yep.
And ask them to be aware,
I mean, Smokey
Okay.
Bear, we all know him.
and we can put down,
It's true.
the only trouble with updating the fire dangers, somebody or group of us is gonna have to go in there and change it, because the fire department does it anyway.
They got Smokey the Bear out there telling us what to do. It's right out front.
Yeah,
Okay, it's
So-
number 3A.
so we can put a sign up, signs are inexpensive and they're always
Read them.
available.
Getting your ass kicked.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think the most important thing that we can attempt here is mitigation. So ultimately, if it comes down to signage, just reminding people when they go into properties, because having frequently been out at Morse Falls, I do see a lot of people smoking out there. We did have a small burn on the old trolley track last
Yeah.
April, and the conditions were pretty dry then. So I just wanted to get the ball rolling with the fire chief, and just so that we are keeping that in mind, that
Maybe use the town hall board, now that the masks mandate thing is gone, maybe put up their fire dangers in our
Yeah.
forests.
I mean, that's on 3A, but I
Yeah.
also
we have-
agree that,
we have one
like
in-
particularly Morris Falls or,
At your
Dr.
point,
Place, maybe some sort of communication
the
up front.
point of entry areas where people go.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah,
Because
that's about all we're gonna
That's all you can do.
realistically able to do,
that's
right.
you know?
You just put up something and say, please fire danger and smoking, can't say prohibited. Recommend you don't.
Why can't you say prohibited on town land?
You'd have to
You
make,
don't vote.
yeah, that would have to be an ordinance to use
Well,
that
we-
strong language.
The selectmen could do it for masks, they could do it for, I don't think
And
they will,
that-
but
That was,
Little
yeah.
different. Pandemic.
but look, I agree with them, you can't enforce it, it's not
It's
enforceable.
not very,
But,
I think, being a firefighter in town, and stuff like that, brush fires, we got very little here. We have a couple little lawn fires. Back in the day in the state forest up there, I did a line, we had 100 acres one time. Drove in and out of the state lock forest to get to it. We used to use controlled burns back in the day.
No, I know,
Okay, but they don't like those anymore.
at least down here anyway.
Yeah.
But I think our best weapon is communications.
That's right.
All right, I'll talk
Eric?
about it on the WhatsApp page.
And every day on the fire department, through the town stuff, they put out a thing, it's a fire danger day. And you put
Is
it
it
on
on the
your,
town-
on
town
the town's
website?
webpage, or that's better communication alone.
yeah, I think they post it on Facebook, and if the fire danger hits high, I post it on our Facebook page as well.
Yeah.
But that's probably something that we do want to move on the town website. We should probably be taking
agree.
making more use of that, and I think I will. I don't. I would like to see us use the town website more, because well, we also have the newspaper that.
I think
Litchfield
that's a
Mirror,
good
so,
idea. you
Yeah,
know.
we should take advantage of all the mediums we have to reach out to people.
Mhm.
But, yeah. Okay. Roger.
For health reasons, excuse myself for the rest of the meeting.
Okay, absolutely.
Night.
So now that Rob's left, do we need to appoint another?
You can if you want.
But nothing you're gonna be voting on, looks
If we're
like,
gonna vote.
just,
Maybe when we get into not.
Okay, why don't we do that? Anne? Take the vacant spot for this evening. Oh, perfect. Next up, town website, educational opportunities. So I think one of kind of our basic principles and one of the things that we should be doing more of is educational opportunities with the public, whether that be wildlife, wetlands.
The state has these nice brochures that we could probably get that right on the website, couldn't we?
I think so, yeah. we could-
Grasslands, floodplains, wetlands, vernal pools.
Well, I had emailed you about the survey,
Yeah,
and that, as far as the hiking information going, which happens to be, fall in line with that, we have a lot of, Diane has mentioned, a lot of new people that come from out of town and really are not aware of a lot of things,
Yeah.
And as far as the town website, the fire danger is an excellent place to communicate with. We could also use that for, this is not a favor of some folks, but as far as hunting season opening up,
It's breaking.
make them aware of that.
Yeah, that's,
Um,
I mean,
I love
a
that.
lot of people probably don't know, it's turkey season right now.
Oh, you bet.
they're happy.
That's a good thing.
Almost got two. I'm sorry.
very, very seldom in all the times I've walked any of our properties as a member of this commission, ever, have I seen anybody wear orange.
I know.
Like, perhaps like I could count on one hand.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Even-
that's just one thing, but what I had talked to Matt about, and I was gonna bring it up, like, maybe it jumped the gun, but
Yeah, I have you down on the next page.
on his survey, it was, historical data was the highest, I believe.
Yes, 19 both.
And then hiking information was the second highest. And I guess it was not an ambiguous, but just a general term.
Yeah,
And because I had nothing better to do, there was two thoughts kind of entered my mind as far as fact would affect the school and the town. One was that we have Moores Falls, we have Parker Place. We have about three other, we have the state forest
Mhm.
that people can hike in. We have the stage crossing, you know, that people can walk into. And,
We're gonna get there.
yeah, one thought was, gee, there are other places like Londonderry and Nashua, Manchester and Wyndham and Salem that people aren't aware of. That was one thought that maybe we could work on. My other thought was, as far as that comment is, believe it or not, on hiking, as far as not so much the dangers of hiking, but more the preparation of hiking, okay?
Mhm.
And that's something that could be done on the town website. That could be something that actually could be done in school. Now, okay, what danger could you get involved? Let me pick Moores Falls as an example, okay? How many people have we seen come in there with just plain old sneakers?
Well, the state has 10 top items you should bring hiking. They have that already, the hike safe card.
Well, and I understand that. The state has it.
But I mean,
How
you
did you
could
get
take
it?
that from them and.
Oh, yeah, I know. The thought was that if we just,
Add
if
it
we
to ours.
decided
Yeah.
to pursue something like that, the state has all kinds of resources that we could use. And I'm talking out loud now. Something like what Diane did is maybe make up some sort of brochure or something like that. And for a while, I had some extra pamphlets. I was sitting at Morris Falls passing them out. People loved it. I don't know. What do you guys think about something like that?
We had at Morris Falls, we had brochures at one time, and that little box was for the brochures.
Well,
But I think that's a good idea. Take the list from the state, the hike safe card idea. We don't
Yeah.
need a hike safe card, but they tell you what 10 top essential things you should have with you. And, but that, I mean, if you're just going for a walk to Morris Falls, you're not gonna, take the 10 things they're talking about, but
well, like a part of Moose Falls, that little steep part there, right?
beginning,
Pardon?
the part in the
I mean, if
beginning.
it gets muddy, people could, not saying doom and gloom, but people could slip on that and they
Proper
could injure
footwear,
themselves.
sort of thing. So
you
it
know.
could be as big as you wanted it to be, really, Harry. I mean, you could make it an extension off the main page, different things, and then you
Yeah,
can
I
also
mean,
make sure that it's at
like
all
a
the schools.
suggestion, like, silly me, bring a first aid kit with you.
I mean, that's kind of how I set, I know it was kind of general to say like hiking.
Yeah,
things
no,
like that,
no.
But here are the 10 essentials. Here are some local places you can walk. Here's some.
Yeah, put it
I
all
was
together.
thinking
in one
like
place.
maybe if we wanted to, pick up additional or make, so that would probably be something like a good Eagle project for the Boy Scouts, to put together, say, hey, listen, these are all the resources or all the available outdoor activities in the general area. You don't have to, yeah.
Is it something you would go into the schools with too? Is that something that you would go into GMS maybe and do a little presentation? Talk to the principal, maybe get conservation into the elementary
You could do
schools?
that. Yeah.
I
could
know
do-
you love talking to the kids and you love the educational aspect of conservation.
Yeah.
Maybe we could come up with something that we came into the schools with. The community garden, I'm definitely gonna be reaching out to GMS schools.
I mean, the kids are out running around and stuff, and this simply is check for ticks.
I mean, you could come up with something.
Number one, check for ticks.
Yeah,
Or mosquitoes,
I mean, it's huge though, what you could do, Harry,
Yeah.
with that.
I think for sure.
I think, here, Harry,
Come up with a plan on it?
this
You
is,
had a comment?
this is a
I'm
big,
sorry.
You could come up with a plan, maybe where things that you wanted to do.
Now, I am considered a dinosaur as far as computers go. So most
Pen
of
and
what I
pencil,
do,
pencil and paper.
Pencil and paper works.
yeah,
Works.
I love,
just take a picture of it, send it to us.
I'll
do you
type it
take a
up for you,
picture?
Harry. I don't mind typing it for you.
anyway, I can start to put something together,
An outline, and then we'll put it
yeah,
together.
a rough outline,
Yeah.
and
I'd love to
what do you
see us
think?
in the school.
think pursuing both avenues, or just maybe?
It's a lot of, you're talking a lot of things right now. I think we're talking a lot of things, okay?
We have so many ideas.
Yeah, I know, you great ideas.
Yeah.
I think the first priority that I think we ought to do, and this is my side of it, I think Harry's got a great idea. We stick to the basics now. Let's get the basics done. Then we're gonna go to the next step in that basic. I think the Eagle Scout project is a great idea, okay, for that kind of stuff.
Or a sophomore project, they need.
Or a
30
sophomore
hours.
project or something
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that, okay?
Because the kids want to get out and they have to do, they actually physically have to get out and go to these places, and maybe they can go to the town halls and get maps or
Yep.
some sort of information
Scavenger
and put
hunt.
it together.
We could start the scavenger hunt idea again too,
Yeah.
and make that part of it too.
Yeah, because you keep hearing on the news how activities outside have grown. And
Huge.
Yep.
Parking lot up in Morris Falls has never been so full since they started it.
Yeah,
Last year was, I've never seen anything like.
well, when I was out there passing brochures, I must have had,
Makes you smile.
like I had 100 brochures, and one day I went through about,
It's good.
and
Did you
either
trash
people were being nice and taking them, well, they were actually, it
That
didn't
sad
make
old
any
man,
difference. I
nothing
got rid of the brochure.
No, we had to pick them up later on the.
Yeah.
Marion, go ahead. Okay,
All
yeah.
right, where was that?
They've been
Okay.
stocking those areas for years here,
Mhm.
okay? The last few
Even,
years. they've been
even,
doing-
something silly as, and you mentioned fishing, but something as silly as fishing.
Yeah.
Hook yourself. What do you do?
Pull it out.
Push it through.
I mean, again, I don't want to present it as doom and gloom. You want to present it as prevent as a situation to be aware.
Love it. So you're gonna do an outline?
But Chase Brook and Messing.
I saw them stocking it last year. I was out cleaning trash out of the Nessing keg and the officer came down. I was there in my boots and the back up from the stream, but interesting.
Go back and get your
You know,
fishing pole.
And things like, that you half the people in town don't even know what poison ivy is.
Yeah.
Well, I know what it is and you know what it is, and I'm sure everybody in this room.
I'm
Yes.
really, really relieved that they got rid of it at the river access. 'Cause it was bad there.
I mean,
You worked hard to get rid of that.
I believe in floral arrangements made of sumac and poison ivy to give to people.
Pretty red color in the fall.
so I don't know, did I
Here,
screw your agenda? I didn't
No,
mean
no,
to.
we jumped.
you
You're
went ahead. You were on the second page.
Yeah, you're excited.
That happened.
But yeah, it was kind of related to educational opportunities. I think we kind of covered a lot of what I wanted to talk about, but yeah, I think we should also reach out to the school district. I feel like there's a huge resource there where we can help them and they can work with us. They have the Environmental Ecology Club. I'm sure they'd like to be involved and we have some opportunities for them. So given that education is, I think, a fundamental mission for us, I think it would be a good idea to reach out to the school district and say, hey, want to work with you. So,
No, he's left. That
Yeah.
teacher that did it, he was amazing.
Mr. Orban, yeah,
Yeah, he left though.
I
And
did it.
Left with them. I'm not
I did.
surprised that
I
you're part
was-
of that.
Yeah, I was the kayak team. They tested multiple shoreline locations, and then they had two students take a kayak, take a water test at the center of the pond, and I was in the kayak, and I went to the far reaches, the opposite shore.
He was special. He was truly
She
special.
was. I'd like to see more of that again. We can work with the school district on that, for example. There's a lot
The
of
earlier we
opportunity.
hit them with being interested in conservation and agriculture, the more that we will carry that into the next generation.
Right.
You get that right.
Just to comment on that, on testing, so, sorry to go off kilter, but we're on it, but something to think about is if we ever want to do testing of the Merrimack River or of Dara Pond,
Mhm.
Manchester wastewater treatment plant
Yeah,
will run any of the samples that we want and get them back to us within a couple of days.
Yep.
A friend of mine is the chief operator at the plant, and they're, City of Manchester actually is a client of ours, so we know them extremely well, and he said, anytime you guys in Litchfield want any testing done, just let me know, drop it off, and we'll do it.
That's good, because DES is not testing again this year, so that's good to know.
I think we should take that on. There are other towns, including Deering, that's actually one of their, that's in their bylaws. That's one of the things they do is water testing. And I believe there are a few others that have that as well. If the commission's interested in that, I think we should consider looking into that as well.
Can you get us a tour of the wastewater treatment plant?
Excuse me?
Can you get us a tour of the wastewater treatment plant?
You, absolutely.
I
If you
was
want,
there
I
once
will.
before they did the big expansion, but love to see it again.
It all
I
comes
shouldn't
our
say
way.
absolutely, I absolutely will ask
We'll
my
ask.
buddy, but most likely he will allow it.
It all comes our way. We must get a look at it.
Matt, if you're interested in that, I'll follow up on that. He might actually even have sample test kits. You know,
Yes,
just
please.
dip it up in the water, essentially, bring it up there.
Yes, absolutely. I'd be very interested in that. Okay. Next, trash removal at Morris Falls, which is just so interesting every time I go down there. The river brings many things, as we see fishing start to take off. That is a monster to deal with. Year after year, I have such a hard time. The line gets tangled up all over the place in the branches overhead. One point I had one with a hook, like I almost walked right into it right at eye level. But
I have a question.
yeah,
Could we get rid of the trash in the shed from
yes.
Morrisville?
So yeah, there's a lot of trash in there, but I've been meaning to reach out to the highway department again because the plan is to work with them to ferry trash and stuff because there's some large items that come
Did
down.
they ever pick up that stuff that's right on the trail, going to the beach area,
Yeah, that was
battery and whatever?
yeah, so that's another awkward thing that because when I was collecting the trash, I didn't just want to leave it and then they'd come and get it at some unknown point in the future because then somebody could pick it open and then it could.
Question, can you drive down there?
A little tractor you could with
That's
with
gonna be the
ATV
problem,
thing.
guys. We go pick up trash, you have something to go in and out of.
When I was down there, the big trash problem was not so much the river. People would leave their dog droppings all over the place. I mean, they'd pick them up and
Not
put them in a
fertilizer,
plastic
it's
bag, and
bacteria.
then leave them there.
It's
But I think we talked about that too. Some people pick up the poop when they're there, then they leave the bag, take their walk and come back and get it. So that does happen.
That's a
sometimes,
common
too.
issue everywhere. I had it, a winter's
So-
bag.
If you
Um,
put trash bags or trash barrels at the top,
No, we're not putting trash barrels, no.
because.
Who's gonna empty them?
They're resistant.
All right, hold on. Let's let Kevin.
well, let's think about it,
Yeah.
okay? Think about it for a second. We got them on the bike path, we empty them,
Yeah,
Okay,
road agent
does.
does, highway does.
highway does. If you got it in the parking area where they bring their trash back,
Mhm.
put it there, and pick it up.
If highway will do it.
Right, if highway would do, it, we can ask.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
if
Who's gonna
highway's
ask?
willing to,
I will.
That's great. You'll ask Kevin.
yeah, if highway's willing to do it, I'd be more receptive to
From
it.
highway, go ahead, you go ahead and ask them.
But yeah, let's see what they have to say because I'd rather not have anybody use personal vehicles for this.
No.
It should be in the bed of a town vehicle
Well,
being
the-
brought to the dump.
The other side of this, personal vehicle, what, if you get an ATV or something, go down, like the farm has, okay? Get something to get down, and put it in the back of it and bring it out.
Yeah.
Stuff that's there that you want to get out.
Mhm.
Or we bring a small pickup truck down. Scratch the sides a little bit, but should be wide enough to get by there.
Are you volunteering?
Hey, I have a nice truck that loves that stuff.
Should
I've
be
been
good
down there
for
with
St.
my
Francis and all.
personal truck before.
Yeah, I think highway has actually gone down there with their gas F-350.
What about that tree that you and I looked at? How did that get out of there?
Which tree there?
The tree that fell, that huge tree.
It's still, well, there's an overhanging tree on the trail if you go down from.
You're talking
Here.
about the one by the river, that huge one.
Yeah.
Highway cut it.
Yeah.
Highway kid went down and cut it.
It floated down. We know where it is.
Uh.
It's at the boat ramp. There's another one laying across right in front of the boat ramp.
Okay,
And
we're
like
gonna dock up to it now.
The one over at Parker, is that still, is that
That's-
still there?
that's
One
been taken
got
down.
Highway
Is that a new one
highway
that came
took-
down?
Yeah, they took care of
Took
that.
it down.
There's a new one too. There's a new one that just came
Yeah,
down.
I
There
thought
is
there
a
was
that
Parker.
Yep, it's on the north side. Yep, broke some of the land. It's on the roadside almost, but that's gonna come out of there too. As well as that the maple tree, oak tree that's dangling unsafely.
Yeah.
You gotta clean the park up.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not opposed to using equipment if necessary,
You have to do it in there.
but we have to double check the liability issue with
Well,
that.
that's recreation anyway, Parker Park.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah,
That's strictly recreation.
Yeah. they're managing that.
Speaking of Morse Falls, could we talk about that sinkhole again, that like a trolley track down on going towards LKQ?
As liability,
Well, it is a liability.
Okay.
What are we gonna do about it?
Part
So,
of Morse
well,
Falls?
it is part of the
So we
property.
leased the trolley track from Colby LLC,
Okay, and
and we could never get an answer from them, and we're supposed to leave the trolley track as we found it. But this is a naturally occurring sinkhole.
Journey to the center of the earth.
So we
approximately
hate to be the-
15 to 20 feet down, culvert. It goes underneath the culvert. It's a clay culvert back in the day, ruptured. And it's just percolating in. Pressure's just coming down and water comes by underneath it, just gets flushed.
We did, you can still see the gravel is still, I'm trying to think if it was still at the top or was at the bottom, but still is there, didn't wash all the way out,
No, it don't. It still shows, it stays there. It doesn't go into the river, it just stays where it came.
but the
Highway
hole
went
is
up there
still
once,
deep.
we tried it with the backhoe, did some work on it.
If we
Jack
could have
was there.
highway look at that.
Sure, if you want to reach out to them, we can give them a bundle of things we want from them.
I'm sure I'd be thrilled.
I'll just
Okay.
walk in there one day, hey, Kevin, a lot of stuff for you.
I'll talk to him, okay?
About the sinkhole too?
I'll talk to Kevin.
So,
Okay,
In the meantime,
Kevin to Kevin.
since we have acknowledged this as a potentially, as a safety issue, we should probably put some signage out there saying.
Well, we've
sinkhole.
had fencing around
Yeah,
it and
there's been-
fencing doesn't last.
Orange
Gets it away with
fencing.
the bikes.
Well, this is like, the thing, this
could
is also
ride
like
all
on
the
the
way
very
over.
southern
Yeah.
boundary of the property too.
If the ATV goes flying down there at dusk, it's not gonna be pretty.
Sign out there saying if there's a sinkhole, it's on them.
It's true.
Because I remember this was the discussion similar to the syringes, it's like if we've acknowledged that there's a hazard,
You just say caution.
yeah, that's basically what we need to do. We just need to warn people. If they choose to do the right thing, okay. If they don't, again, that's kind of on them. We warned them.
That's all you can do.
Okay.
Are we still having an issue with that, or has that been?
Syringes, I haven't gone since the recent rain. I haven't seen anything recently. I have seen about a month ago, I think I saw a cap for one. I did not see a syringe though, but it has been a little while since I've seen.
Are we feeling more comfortable that that's washed down from upriver?
I believe it is when we got the
Yeah,
stormwater
feeling more
units.
comfortable
Yeah.
going
about
in.
that.
If you
That's a
ask
good-
me,
That's a
that's-
better feeling.
Yeah,
It's
that,
not them doing it there.
No.
Okay? It's been there
Right.
for years.
yeah,
I've been in that area all my life. There's been syringes coming down from above.
Yeah.
All the time, and they disappear.
Mhm.
Not a lot. Sometimes when you get a storm in Manchester and your stormwater situations up there go directly into the river. That's where you're gonna get your wash up on the streets and everything going down. These things float. Eventually, they'll come down and visit us. And then we'll send them down to Nashua.
Which is where they belong.
to
Lowell
kind of
gets them later.
going back to
Big recycling program.
trash and the river there. I don't know if anyone else has seen Chester Conservation Commission with Fish and Game installed a fishing tackle disposal tube, and it was literally, it looked just like PVC pipe with like a little elbow
Yeah.
tube, and it was like, all right, you just toss it right in. And I know if we're gonna talk about possibly
trash
putting receptacles there, if that means cutting down on that trash, because that is the worst to deal with. It's really difficult to deal with all
You
that.
gotta make it accessible for vehicle access to do it right.
Mm.
Okay, hauling trash up by hand is not what you wanna do. This is a picnic, whatever it is. Now, you clean it, you come back. You gotta look at the operations of this fall to be. There used to be cot roads all the way down through there, right down to the river, okay? Used to set the pumps in, right where Sandy Bank is.
Mhm.
So you can drive anything down there. It's brushed in. You gotta clean the brush out, which is not a problem. Okay, get the groups together and just brush it out. Boy Scouts, we used to do that in Boy Scouts in town.
Mhm.
Every spring and fall, yeah. The fire departments loved us, okay, because they used to drive to the woods. We used to go out and clean the trails, brush them out. Okay, all the time.
Having that riverfront proves to be a unique challenge because you can have a ton of stuff down there, spend all the time with a bunch of people, go down there and clean it up. All of a sudden, the next time the river's high, it looks just like it did the week or the day before. It's,
But we still have to do it.
yeah,
Welcome to me.
It's like laundry.
so,
You gotta do it.
yeah.
Grocery shopping and laundry.
Okay, I think we've beat this topic to death.
I think we did.
Next, training opportunities. So another thing I'd like to look at kind of in the vein of education is I like to see if members are interested in kind of being more informed about different aspects of conservation and natural resources in town, whether that be wildlife, the properties and trails, et cetera, whatever that may be. And I know UNH Cooperative Extension, Audubon Society, Fish and Game, a lot of state partners, they can provide us a lot of information. So if anybody's sees like an interesting seminar that they want to attend, I'd say go for it. And if I see a lot of things coming from these different groups, and if you want me to compile it and send it out, say, hey, this is coming up next week, seminar on bats. UNH is doing one on bat counting for bat species in New Hampshire. There's a lot of interesting stuff out there, and I hope a lot of members here will be interested in
Yeah,
attending
there
things
is,
like that.
unfortunately, because of last year, because of COVID.
Yeah, but there's a lot of webinars out there now.
Right, and that too, it's, you can access these very easily just right off of
You
your
have to
computer.
know ahead of time.
But,
Going back to that same idea, like you just said, it's not just training for us per se. Well, in town, you refer to the web pages or refer that information out and give it. Other people who want to get involved.
Yeah.
Okay. Educational opportunity for all.
Monday, I think. Falcons.
Falcons are up. Okay, good. They're back.
is this that nest that they've been monitoring up on, is it Main
Brady,
Street?
Brady Sullivan Building.
Brady Sullivan Building, yeah.
Got 3 less mourning doves.
Get a woodpecker or one of those big woodpeckers. He sits on my
Chimney?
which has the metal cap I have
Yes.
years ago, all through the house.
How do you think
Right
they
to the
kept that
thing.
for you?
Yeah, I sent him over to you.
These are fine if I shot them.
No, I sent him over to you because we're sitting here, all of a sudden,
Yep. He's there. My wife's having some words about him.
Next up, weather station at Town Hall. So I kind of tossed around the idea of getting different weather instruments up for us to record data specifically for Litchfield. I know Roger already does rainfall reports. So I was thinking if we have like a storm or something or an anomaly, event, an interesting meteorological event that we could, keep track of those records for town side of thing. And Roger was discussing that he does have some instruments from place he previously worked at. And I believe, Jason, you were telling me that St. Francis or a couple other local organizations, they have weather stations at their buildings and they send that data to WMUR or another organization, and maybe we could tap into that and start cataloging some of that as well.
Roger's a good resource for this one.
Yeah, and since he unfortunately left us tonight, so we might have to,
I have his April numbers.
Yeah.
He told me the April.
we can, I'd like to have him in to discuss it and see what he has.
Just talk.
So next month, we'll have it back next month.
Yeah, we can discuss it.
Talk to him, okay? Because I think we're all for it,
Yeah, if,
right? Is there anybody against it?
No, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we just talk to Roger and we'll let him put something together.
maybe the school district would want to do that with us. They could have a meteorological program.
Yep.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Matt,
Be
at
more accurate than the weather TV station.
at
Or the
St.
Litchfield Weather
Francis, we put in a weather station when my kids were there 15 years ago now. And it was tied into quote unquote weatherbug.com, which gets picked up by, at the time, like Channel 7 or something like that. They were a weather watcher, essentially. And the kit came with the rain gauge, it came with temperature, barometer, it came with an anemometer.
Yep.
And it also had a camera associated with it.
Beautiful.
And it was taking stills. It was awesome. And you could just go right on your phone. You could see how many inches of rain you got during a certain period of time. And I know they gave it to us for free for like 2 years or something like that. But after that, I say you actually kind of like rented the equipment. I think it's been like $500 a year or something.
Maybe there is even somebody who has an amateur station at their house and we could reach out to them and say, hey.
There is a guy who does have an amateur station, and I'll find out who that is in town.
There's something to add to the environmental stuff here that
Right.
we're all talking about.
Exactly.
Good idea.
I think Brent Lemire used to do that.
Oh, we did, okay.
I thought when he was the selectman's rep, I remember talking about.
See anything around his house when I was there.
Next up, for the sake of time, because I realize we're approaching, it's getting
Bedtime.
late. Yeah, it's getting close to
Bedtime.
bedtime here. Next up, duck box program. So we have some duck boxes in the shed, just taking up space. Perfectly good boxes. I think we should put those out. I'm not sure if it's too late this year. I think this is the time when they're looking right now. But there's a part of Deering Conservation Commission has a pretty robust program that they've had for decades. And it's actually part, again, of their bylaws where they maintain a duck box program. And I asked like, hey, can you give me some information on this? And they gave me a ton of information. I sent it to Joan. I forgot to send it to everybody else, but they monitored every single box every single year. They maintained them. They were keeping track of, how many eggs were in each box. It was really detailed and they did a
So we could put them
fantastic
like
job.
around the ponds and.
Yes. There's a
Okay.
few different locations in town where we could
River
put them.
would be good.
Yeah. Grassy pond. There, I recovered a completely destroyed duck box shore there on our property. I think that would be a fantastic location. It's like the prime conditions, prime environment for them right there.
Where?
Right at the edge of the meadow there, Bixby.
Yeah,
Meadow.
there is,
Yeah, it fell
Bixby,
down.
Bixby would be good, yeah, because there's no water in grassy ponds. Bixby would be good.
So the bat box is working too, right, Joe?
Duck.
Oh, bad.
The
We had
big box.
the
I don't know
one-
what happened to the big bat box.
That was supposed to go at Dara, I thought. This was years ago.
I think it's at the highway garage upstairs, a rubber bug.
We should find it.
But something to look at if anybody is interested in helping install those boxes. I'll send over that information I got from Deering. Really cool stuff.
And I think go to the New Hampshire Wildlife Federation Facebook page.
Mhm.
Just recently, they did a thing on duck,
Yeah,
and so you can
Oh,
learn.
yeah.
Pretty good.
That's
All another program where members and the public can get involved in.
Mhm.
So that'll be good. All right, Harry, you already talked about hiking.
Yeah, if we talk that one to death, we could skip over that.
Yep.
Skip over that.
RARP program, Reptiles and Amphibian Reporting Program, which is through Fish and Game. In
The
year-
non-game program.
Non-game program, yep. So this is record keeping for endangered reptiles and amphibians in the state through Fish and Game. In years past, residents have contacted us, letting us know that they've had a turtle lay some eggs in their yard. And their locations have been interesting in past years, but I've been helping landowners, discuss what their options are in order to protect the nest, keep everything away, and helping them fill out that report to then send on to the state. And I can see also from records in the cabinet in town hall that at some time in the past, we were also submitting reports.
You did mine, when I had that turtle in my garden.
Yeah. So
Another thing with the Litchfield,
yeah. So
another thing to add to it. to
There's
let
a
people
form
know
that
what's out
that you
there.
use for
yeah,
that.
we should upload that form. And since I've been doing it for the past couple of years, if anybody else wants to get more experience on those species, and maybe we can continue to help assist residents with filling out those reports.
Oh, I have one poster that shows all three rare turtles. That would be good to get that on.
Blandon turtle.
Yeah. It was wood turtle.
Spotted, wood, spotted, and blandings.
Okay. I know we have a lot of endangered species in this town, so I think to be involved in that would be beneficial.
We should also educate them about hognose snake because people are, terrified of snakes, and hognose snakes will first act like a cobra, and then if that doesn't work, they play dead.
An interesting strategy.
They're rare.
Passed down from generation to generation.
That's right.
All fainting.
That's what the person does, faints.
A perfect segue right into
Wildlife.
Jones wildlife webinars.
So there's been lately more than three good webinars, but I did in March, the beaver solutions, and I told the road agent about that. And there was a $750 grant on matching grant. I keep forgetting to ask him if he had a chance to look at that. Then there was one on climate change and birds that Audubon put out. The takeaway from that is climate change, of course, is affecting birds, even to the point of the seabirds that larger fish, butterfish are coming north, and the terns and the puffins will catch these butterfish, but they're too big for the babies to eat, so you get a lot of mortality that way. The other big takeaway is, and I've heard this so many times from my friend Pam Hunt at Audubon, keep your domestic cats in. They kill 2.5 million birds a year are killed by cats. And also window strikes. So you can put hawk silhouettes on your windows if you're getting window strikes. That was a very good one. And then Amanda Stone from UNH, she's a natural resource and land conservation state specialist. She had a webinar on the wildlife action plan maps. That was very good as well. The three I looked at lately. And the one wildlife action plan was through NHACC. So I don't know if you're all getting mail from NHACC, National New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. If you are, I can forward you that. Getting it all.
Westerfield maintenance, Jason.
Yep, I'll just show a quick picture, I think. That'll work. So a couple of years ago, Matt and I cleaned out that muster field and took out all the bittersweet, kind of cleaned it up. And we always thought that the next piece of the puzzle was maybe doing a light clean of the bitters. So take a look at the map. You can see the little cottage up in the top right there. Was to maybe do a light cleaning in here to get rid of the bittersweet, not chopping down any trees or anything like that, but just clean that clean that up. I was approached by, Ray Peoples, who actually this week mentioned to me, hey, what do you think about cleaning this up a little bit? Because I think they're going to be doing a little work on the cottage up there and just spruce that whole area up. And in addition to that, I was talking to the Historical Society as well, and they mentioned it to me. So throwing it out there, wouldn't mind getting out there for a day, just doing a light cleaning, clean it up, make it look nice.
What do you mean by light?
I bring a tractor.
Lawn tractor, weed whacker, the little brush mower.
Okay, here's the problem. I heard from the Historical Society as well. They're gonna have an archaeological survey down there, and the state didn't want them to touch anything further until the state did their archaeological survey. Also, we don't know where the boundary is between the cottage and the town land. There's a teeny little piece in there, and then there's the cottage, so I don't think
So I
that
have
there's
answers to both those questions. I did talk to the Historic Society, who talked to the state, and they relayed to me that they don't want us to dig in there, plow in there, anything like that, but just cleaning up the brush is fine. That's what he relayed to me. Number two, when we were in there a couple of years ago, we marked out the two property boundaries. There are two pretty clear property boundaries, one right past the fire hydrant and one that's down by the river. And so they're pretty clearly marked.
Is it, there's actually granite bounds in there?
There's marks there. Been there for
Now,
years.
the other issue I have is, if you're gonna clear cut all that low brush out of there, is that your idea?
Yeah, just spruce it up, get rid of the junk.
I agree.
Okay. My objection is migratory birds. I mean, it looks good the way it is right now, that you've cleaned all the way where those two chairs are, looks really good, the picnic table. I'd hate to see the whole thing, all that underbrush gone out of there. You know, maybe half of it would be. Because you had talked at one time of having the path go all the way through to the church house.
There are 3 large logs in there that had dropped in there years ago. I pushed them back out, they're in there. You know ones I'm talking about. Okay, that used to be a lot clearer than it is now. The bittersweet is the paint, it's destroying trees,
It's so bad.
destroying trees.
Parker Park too.
Okay, it's all over the place. I think we need to get in and clean it even more. Okay, and brush it out. You did a nice job. I think it's some areas we should mow a little bit more down there because the pickers are coming up again in the area. You know, I maintain that for
Clear
years.
It's pretty clear along the roadway.
I want to get to the riverside and see better. To the edge, so you
Okay.
can see it.
What kills bittersweet? Because we have a problem in Parker Park with it killing some trees.
You have to cut it. I
You
don't
have to
think there's
cut
much
it and
that.
it'll grow again because right now it's already fruited out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
right,
so
right,
you
right,
gotta
right.
go in there.
That happens in fall, right?
No, happen now.
It has happened right now.
You got seeds are gonna come in the fall too. They're gonna stay there all year.
The trouble with the bittersweet is the research that I did is about the only thing that you can use to kill it. Well, are 2 things. One is a brush killer, which kills everything. And
That's
the
not
other
good.
thing is a propane storage.
That might be what we need to do, but then we're also gonna have
That's
to be
a
really
one by
careful.
each.
We'd have to be really
Talk
careful
about
about.
buying.
Matt and I spent a lot of time down there getting rid of that bittersweet. in
It's
that
not easy.
First lot. It was,
brutal.
it required a small chainsaw. They were
Yeah.
literally choking the trees.
Yep.
Yeah.
Falling down onto the power line.
No, I know what I had on
Look
my
at that.
north side of my property, I had 11 honeysuckles. And I always thought they were beautiful.
Jason.
All full of bittersweet. And
Yep,
the
I love
vines,
actually like that.
literally what you're saying, were about that big. And trying to pull them out is a total waste of time.
Yep.
And you need to get them, as Kevin said, you need to get them now. Because if they flower and seed, our migratory friends help spread them.
So is that something you're looking for help for us to volunteer to help you with, Jay?
I just want approval.
Got it. I
And
make a
then-
motion that he can do it. Jason, you've done wonders, okay? You get in there, start clean it out, everything out. And yes, the migratory birds are gonna spread, the birds are spreading this stuff like wildfire. Okay? I think in this area here, it's the only area around Route 3A that we can see the water. Okay, and everybody has said this is wonderful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And with the tree removal they did in there, some larger trees because of the power lines and stuff like that, it's opened that up a lot better.
So we need a second?
So your motion is to
Motion.
clear the bittersweet.
Bittersweet and the thorns and all the other stuff that's gonna be in the way. Make it so you can pass through the area and see well.
I'll clarify that by just saying everything that would be done, but at the worst case with the little brush mower that we,
Okay.
not going in there with bulldozers or anything
If you
like
need,
that.
to get a tree or two out of there, I have equipment that can pick it up. It
What
won't be
with
digging.
the DR mower, thinking?
Yeah, he's got brush hog.
What do you need, a second?
You have one of those?
Yeah, you-
Conservation has
Motion
one,
on the
right?
floor.
Kevin made a motion. We need a second.
Second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Town has a brush hog too, right?
So
Yeah.
1, 2,
DR mower.
4, 5.
Just use it.
It's in the fire station.
All right, 5, all those opposed?
Just bring it too far.
All right, 1. The abstentions, I think that is it. Motion passes. 6.
Matt, one last thing that's
5-1-0.
related.
Yep.
One thing to consider, having been mowing that as Kevin did for many years, and also I've been mowing Moore's Falls for probably 2 or 3 years now, and it's beating the living heck out of my Lowe's Husqvarna tractor.
Hmm.
If we've got any funds that are available, I mean, we're maxed out at $1 million right now. If we can use some of that money to buy a mower, is that something that, or could we use the highway department's mower?
We can look into that. That's a good question. I think we could probably work together with you. It's the same things,
Rather
guys.
than him use his private.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tools.
let's look at it this way. We're all the town. Okay? I think it'd be wise if we can work together.
Did the highway just get a new mower or relative new mower?
No, that's last year they got them. The blue tractor one with the arm type mower,
Yeah,
that's being
yeah.
repaired.
Oh,
And that needs some love right now.
Hey,
So if we were to look at a mower, I think that would have to come out of land management, which is,
A budgetary line.
probably could take it out of.
get out of the land. All right.
Kevin, you'll talk with the other Kevin and see if it's possible to
you have a list.
borrow their
I
equipment?
got three, I got a Kevin, and the other Kevin loves beavers.
We have to have a discussion about liability, so that might be something where highway would have to go down and do the work with that equipment.
Don't think like that, because I've been doing it for years with all my equipment.
Yeah.
Liability, if I go in there, I'm doing it because I want to do it. Okay?
Careful with it.
I know the day of the world, you can't do anything today because everybody wants to sue the hell out of you.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Old business. Trash cleanup 3A.
That's
We
old.
had 13 plus bags.
Yep.
At least 13 that I kept.
That was pretty fun.
That's what I put on the,
You keep tabs?
It's
on
not
the
bad,
bags?
right?
Yeah, I thought,
I have to send it to the state.
yeah. We had the help from the police department, at that sharp curve. That went well. No one became roadkill, so
Went
I
dive.
think it was a success. The weather was nice. We were able to get the bags right to the dump, so
Thank you,
DOT.
Jason.
DOT does not need to clean those up. Next, stage crossing.
Oh, that was interesting. So on the meeting on the 1st, I volunteered to meet with Stage Crossing regarding the outstanding issue of the location of the conservation easement that was granted to the town in March of 2008. The issue has been ongoing since then. I was told the Board of Stage Crossing wanted to move the easement, so I went to look at it. And on April 6th at 10:30 in the morning, I met with Vinnie Robato, he's the board president, and Paul Barber, who was a past president.
Mhm.
We met at the location immediately before Unit 4 I walked the area behind the units of 4 to 24 with Paul Barber, and we discussed prior roadblocks to why this was still an issue. I explained that we were looking for access up to and including the vernal pools, that we would limit the access to conservation members. They asked that we remove the walking maps from the library, and the association's concerns were only people wandering around the property that did not belong there. I also told them because we were unable to come to a discussion or an agreement with them that we had never marked it. So people would wander because it was never properly marked because it was never properly discussed. So easiest way to accomplish that from my observation when I was down there, Mr. Chairman, was to dead end the trail that we have before it hits that property, so that we don't have members coming up on that other trail.
Wait, say that again. Dead end what?
So we have a trail that comes up on that property that's on our property.
Oh, right.
So my idea is to put a no trespassing sign after that, the end of the trail, and say done
If
for
they, yeah,
residents to go no further.
if they
This
want
is
to
going to become a moot point in just a minute, so let me finish and then we'll get to what happened there. So anyways, that was a really good meeting. It was very productive. Both gentlemen were very interested in moving it. I walked the easement, possible
Here's where it is
location.
now.
And it was a good location for
No,
it.
we
And I
have-
offered
we
to go
have
to
a-
their
we
board
have a
meeting
access.
on the 15th,
Can't park
this
anywhere.
month, or this past month?
this past month,
Okay,
just to talk to them about what I was doing there.
okay.
So I walked into a meeting on the 15th of April with the Stage Crossing Board Association. And the president was there, Vinnie Rabuto, members Don Murphy, Barbara Barrett, John Poulos, Jim Culver were all there, as well as residents Jean White and Sue Duffy from Unit 4. The residents and the board members did not want us to move that. This is going to be a surprise probably to the board, but they do not want us to move it to before Unit 4. They don't want anything to do really with the Conservation Board. They said that they have.
Start over. They didn't want us to do, they don't want us to move the access is what you're saying?
Right, so I went to the board meeting
Right.
at which the president who had asked us to come down was presiding over the meeting.
Sue Duffy is in the first unit. She came in here just to look at the minutes because she was concerned about privacy in the first, she's in that unit 4.
Okay, so anyway, let me just get to
Yeah,
what
go
happened.
ahead.
Okay, so yes, Sue Duffy, I think I did say that. She is the resident of Unit 4. Yep, I did say that. And Jean White was there also, another representative of the members of that community. They don't want to deal with the conservation. They say they've been lied to in the past. We've made promises. They don't trust the board. They say that we don't try to work with them. I asked them for correspondence that had happened in the past. And they don't have any. They don't know of any. They didn't have a copy of the easement. But what they asked
They
me.
didn't have a copy of the easement?
No,
This group.
nope, and I have one and did discuss it with him again today. But they don't want an easement at all. They want to buy the easement. They want to know how much that would cost. And as I said, Mr. Ubaldo said that the town has not tried to work with the community. Why do we need, here's my question. Whatever else you have to say, can I just ask my question
Certainly.
and then we'll.
Certainly.
My question is, why do we need access through that community?
Because when that property was made, I believe the landowner at the time granted that easement so that there was
Right,
continued access.
that's what we have. Why do we need it?
How else are we going to get in there? Walk from Albuquerque?
Why do we have to get in there?
That's a good question.
Well, then we might as well sell the property if we're not going to use it.
No, that's a good question. You own the land on Route 3A. It's north of the bank, and north of the library.
That access point is, we've explored that, it's not viable because.
It's a
of the
little
wetlands.
wet, but you
it's-
can reach it with a walking bridge.
That's kind of
So
reductive.
we come in
Disagree.
from the other side too, on Albuquerque. Why do we need to go through that community?
That's true.
Because, to answer the question, because that's where the trail was. And the trail, there isn't a trail from Albuquerque.
That's the old stage.
And I had worked with Mr. Poulos way back in the beginning. And they have the access deed somewhere.
Oh, I know we have.
Since
I know we
2008.
have. I know we have, but this has been going on so long that they don't feel like we have, okay? They're talking, lawsuits, they're talking, which I don't think they have a leg to stand on because the agreement was made with, I have the access easement here, was made with La Montagne, not with them. They don't own that land, La Montagne did. But they're very unsure as to what they own and well, they think they own it all.
We,
We have the quitclaim access deed that's recorded.
But why do we need it? Honest to God, why do we
Because
need it?
how else are we gonna get in there? We're gonna walk from Albuquerque to check on the vernal pools?
Can I just ask?
Sure.
The vernal pools are on
hold on a
their
second.
property.
Kevin has a question.
What the builder did was just to get his subdivision approved on the private land. He gave something that was requested.
No,
Hold
no,
on,
no.
please,
Stabile
please,
was-
please.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, that's common practice, and that's what happens, okay? Technically, would you want to walk up through that private land, okay, which we have a right to by the access easement, to walk on the road, go between the houses and go in there? And a park down near the library somewhere, which is minimal parking at all, okay? I know you may not agree, the swamp in the back there, I know that area by heart. Okay, you can get across that. There's an old road right there that we can come in and go around it,
If you brush it out now.
okay?
Those
The old
vernal
stage road,
pools.
okay?
Just like on the northern side of that?
Yes, there is.
Okay, because the southern side is like, that's pretty.
That's,
rough.
that's a little dam,
Yeah, that,
okay?
okay,
But there's an old road, the old driveway that used to go to Ray Jean's house.
yeah.
And it used to go up to the back of the hill
From 3A?
from 3A,
Which is all grown in now.
which is all grown in, but it can be brushed out like any other trail. Okay?
And then we don't have to deal with invasion of their privacy. Sell it to them. Sell them the easement.
Okay, if we do it, just swap the easement, okay? It's the land in question.
They don't want to swap it.
Hold on,
Well, you
please.
don't know that.
Okay, you're saying that, but if we did swap they give us an easement from down below to next to the clubhouse. Okay?
Yeah, we
And
talked
go
about.
out in the back like that, then you're not dealing with them up there, and that's what they're concerned, them
Right.
up there, we being up there.
Yeah,
They want us to stay down here and you walk up to the road a little bit, then go into the
They
woods.
said that they don't care about that and they even would let us park there.
Oh, my God.
so
That's-
coming in off of that little meeting house that they have there at the beginning,
But that is soaked, right?
that is pretty wet. That's,
No, it's all right where the meeting house is, because that's where the old
Right now
driveway
it
is.
yeah, but I know what you're talking about with that old driveway there. There used to be a house there, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
That, because we did look at that with the president and a couple members of that community.
Which
and it was-
president?
I can't.
Well,
it's fine to believe
There's
I
so
can't-
many of them.
There's
you
so
know?
many of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
I'll be
So-
honest with you, you know.
do we have a copy of that letter from the attorney's office that we received about a year or two ago?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, that's this guy.
Because they kind of,
They-
from my understanding, from what they said, they kind of put the matter to bed. I
Attorney
think we
General
might-
did, yeah.
Yeah.
The
so I
Attorney
think-
General did.
Yes.
So then if we are going to go forward and have an easement there, which I don't recommend,
Okay,
but if we are going to, then you need to stake the hell out of it. And you need to have signs so that they know this is, people that come up out of that know exactly where to go.
They're in everybody's backyard when they come in and
And
out,
it's,
and that's what
it's
everybody.
not
thinks.
comfortable.
I'm saying it's logical.
There's single women up there that live up there. There's,
Yep.
Thing
stop
is,
it.
We're supposed to go through and check out our property up there.
The vernal pools aren't our property though, are they?
Yes, they are.
They say they are not.
Well, here's the property line.
Yeah.
There's the.
The thing is, we don't even go up there.
I know
because
that.
We know they're gonna have a fit. And that's not right either. They know what the rules are. They've got,
What are we doing when we go in?
we go through and we walk, we look at. what's
When was the
going
last time
on.
we did it?
Have it in the file.
I haven't done.
It's in the file.
5 years,
It's been sooner.
5 years, 6 years?
Well, I think when we went, and I think John Poulos, and I don't know who the other guy was at the time, but his name.
John Poulos is still on the board.
He's still on the board.
Still on the
Yeah,
board.
and there was another guy, I don't remember his name, but we actually walked back there, I remember,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we went up.
And we went up in to try and get on that ridge line.
Yeah.
Which is right before 4, and that works.
Yeah.
Right before 4 works, but I don't blame that woman, Ms. Duffy. I don't blame her for not wanting us. Even if I said when I went and did my proposal to them, it was just the same thing that I had talked about with Barbara, which was everything that they wanted. I was like, we can do all of this. You're gonna have to pay for it to change the easement. But you divide that over all your properties, it's very little per one. It was all, I thought it was all in bed. I thought we were all done. I thought everybody was happy until I got to that board meeting. Only to find out that every bad feeling and every bad thing that has ever happened up there is kind of still an angry issue up there. So. Well,
Sides to this. There's two sides.
there's two
Let's-
sides, yeah. There's definitely, I felt like there were two sides, Marion.
Let's we should definitely reach back out to them because I feel like these big lapses in communication are letting things fester. So I
Well,
think we
so
need to get
they
back-
want, they're saying to me
sides.
right now, they
Yeah.
want me to come here and ask you if they can buy it. They want to know how much money it will take to buy it. That is my direction by them. That's all they want right now. And I said, so when they say no to that, I said, what do you want me to do? And they said, well, come back to us and then we'll tell you what we want next.
How about marry your idea with Kevin's idea? And instead of having them buy it, they actually
Swap it
build the
even.
trail and build the bridge, do the necessary things so that we do have access from our own land.
So use that money that they would spend to buy it.
They want to subcontract it out and clear it because they didn't want to all clear it and build it.
I will return with our,
Well, I like the idea of what I'm thinking.
yeah, I
First
like
off,
that. Very good, Jay.
Parking. I'm done with this. We're using everybody's parking lot. They're all over the street and all over the place. You got to get the people off the road if you want to go on the trails. Okay?
Well, we can't park up there. We know that. We
I'm
can
not
park
saying
down
that. We can park in the field. But what I'm saying there, okay, we can build a trail around the library to get up into there and still stay on the land. Okay? There's a wet area back there. They build bridges across wetlands all the time.
Well, that's what they would have to do then.
Okay? That is not a bad idea.
So that was what it would cost then. It would cost whatever it costs us to redo that trail. Would that satisfy the board?
Yeah, I think we should check out the area.
Look at the areas and see if they want to do a swamp and pay into that swamp.
Do you want to go with me?
Yeah, I'd like to go to these meetings.
Okay.
Go.
Okay.
Mary, go ahead.
We should incur a cost.
No, we
won't.
said that
We
already.
won't.
I think-
We
yeah, I think this
absolutely
is-
will not.
that
I'm
has
too
been-
damn cheap, Marion. We absolutely won't.
That has to be there.
We said that from the
Okay.
beginning. We're not incurring.
So
that.
Matt, I will call them and then you and I will get together and we'll talk to them about that and
Yes.
we'll kind of get an idea of what our next step will be. But I want to resolve it
Yeah.
because it has had legs that have, before we resolve this with this president, the next president's in. We really want to make peace with these people. They pay taxes in our town and they live here.
We all pay tax.
No, that's a
Right, but they
privilege.
want to be treated like,
All right.
they want to be treated
So-
fairly.
Just to say that there's another side to this, it's educational.
Right.
Everybody trying to say, getting out, they're in the woods. Well, you're in a wet area, okay? You're not in the wet area, you're on top of it. You're gonna see different things occurring when you go across. That's nice. Okay? And you're gonna find little things underneath the bridges. That's even
Trolls.
better.
Trolls.
All right.
All right, so that's where we are for stage crossings.
Goals. All right, community garden.
Community garden progress, on the 21st, last meeting, we received permission to proceed with the community garden, to meet with rec and to work with them if possible. On Monday, April 12th, I met with the rec board and gave the same presentation I gave at the Concom. Explained the desire to extend the paths of Parker Park and the desire to put a bridge up. Chris Burns offered to be the rec commission rep to the joint project. It went really well. It will be our first joint project with them, since I've been on here. So this is the community garden. You weren't, here last time, Mike. This is Monadnock Land Trust land,
Just north of Parker Park.
just north of Parker Park, just south of Normanton's farm, that they are, now we've found out they're going to be giving us permission to use that land as a town garden.
Perfect.
It's really exciting. So I have Chris Burns offering to be part of the rec project with Jason and going to be doing the trails and the bridge and all that kind of stuff to create a larger area of Parker Park that will be usable for town people.
Can be drawn.
No, the main brook, we can get out of, the main brook in the
Brickyard Brook,
back.
that's-
goes
It's a
right
pretty big
beside
brook.
it. Goes right beside it.
SNK?
that's
Yeah,
okay.
there's irrigation equipment that was left from the last time it was farmed.
Yep.
That they're going to give us.
Trust me. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we do it all the time there.
It'll have a filter on it. We won't take any fish, although we might.
About the water level and
It won't affect it because it's gonna be the brook.
It's live.
And you don't water that much in a park and those type of plots. You're not putting a big irrigation head out there.
No, we're not. We're not going to be doing irrigation for each individual plot of land that we're going to designate to people. We're going to be using, they're going to have to, yeah, there'll be a spigot. They'll be able to drag their own water. So it'll be a lesser amount. So I met with the rec board on the 12th. Then the 27th, I spoke with Ray DeRocha about donating some bushes because the DeRocha property is not going to be doing pick your own any longer, and he's selling all the blueberry bushes. So I spoke to Ray. No, he's going to be donating several to us. So then I left there and went to Steve Normanton to see if we could have permission to plant because Monadnock Land Trust is selling to a new land trust. And they're going to, they've recommended the project, it's been approved. But we can't really take control of it
Just document it.
until they completely change hands, which could be another month. But I asked Steve if we could plant them and he says yes. So we have people that have volunteered to bring the bushes up. Then Kathy Lemire volunteered, her husband has a backhoe to plant them. So that's that. So it's kind of crazy busy for Ray. Steve Normanton has proposed the garden bridge and pass to the new land trust. I stopped by to ask him if he could plant the bushes. He said yes. We're waiting for the trust to change hands to start anything but planting the bushes. No proposal was required by us. Steve did that on his own. That's the end of the community garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job on that one.
GIS mapping and trail signage.
Yeah.
It's getting late. We can, to next meeting. It's
You
really
want
not-
to?
It's not that,
Okay.
not that pressing.
We'll spark note the rest of these so that we can get
Yeah.
out of here quickly. Repairing signs at Moore's Falls. Nothing has happened yet. I kind of got it.
I looked for the one in the shed. I couldn't find it. Don, you said you had one in the shed?
Maybe that's still in the trunk of my car. I'll have to check. I was gonna
You
take
could
that apart.
drop them off somewhere and let me know.
It's in the trunk of the car.
So
Have there been any developments in the Cranberry Lane issue?
Oh, Troy mentioned that today that the selectman did want to accept the property, right?
thank you so much.
And I think he's still Troy's still working.
Still working on that one.
All right, Darapon, we had a discussion through email.
Yeah, I sent all the information out to everybody, and it looks like, from what Steve Weber says, he wants to know what the Recreation Commission wants to plan for Darapon and then go from there. He realizes it would be a 3-year, about $9,000 every year, 3 years. Then they want to know what happens after that. And I didn't call Solitude Water Company yet because I want to know what questions they still have unanswered.
I understand that I just found out today that the Duchamp well is down.
Yeah,
Down for 2015.
yeah. Dame well is not.
Dam
further
well
behind
is
that.
drawing and it's got some other issues to it.
Yep.
I think you're gonna find that the Merrimack River water is pretty tasty around here in the future. Okay?
And our pond may come back a little.
Okay, and their
fish,
pond may come back.
But still the milfoil's a problem.
Well, that's nature.
I'll send you swimming across the lake.
And
It is. Think about it. It's
another
nature.
segue, water withdrawal ordinance.
Yeah, Steve Weber said he was going to check on talked to the selectmen about the signage, that I had taken a picture of Londonderry and you reach out to Steve Weber again,
I haven't yet. No.
see if the selectmen, and when you weren't here when we had the,
No, I wasn't here for that one.
map, a picture of Londonderry over at Kendall Pond.
Yep.
Prohibits commercial withdrawal of water.
I understand what you're talking
And I
about.
think that Hillcrest and Pinecrest, the headwaters of Nessun that we should look into doing that there, prohibit commercial withdrawal of water.
You see that happening?
Yes, I do.
Who are these people?
Landscapers and rest.
High procedures.
Hydro-seeders, yeah.
Yep.
Landscape companies, okay.
And they have, Londonderry passed an ordinance along with that I have.
You have that already? Kendall Pond is.
Send that to you.
Please.
Kevin.
Send me something to read.
We skipped the Cranberry Lane.
No,
Oh,
that's
you
working
read-
for the selectmen right now.
No, that was the
Relating
one
you
that
printed?
buying, that was, you're talking about buying the property? Or
Um,
giving the property that he's giving us?
Have you,
that, yeah, I
still-
think you were.
Troy's still
when I
working
brought
on
that
it.
up. You
We're still working on
talked
that one.
about it.
Okay.
Cranberry Lane?
Yeah.
So the police went to you, because I got a letter from the resident.
Police came to us.
Did they? I have a letter.
We're talking
from the
about two different
resident.
things, I
This
think.
is
Yeah.
something new.
They're talking about that land acquisition, of that property that was donated to the town 2 months ago, roughly, and then Cranberry is that easement or that.
There's
into
an
the
easement
cul-de-sac.
problem, yeah. This
Yeah.
is something different. Skipped it.
Okay.
Can I see it?
I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it quick.
5 languages?
This
or
is
less?
from Justin Shea. We went and took pictures of this. The guy was
at the end of
unlawfully
Cranberry
taking
Lane.
the,
Yeah.
Cranberry Lane. He was unlawfully taking trees out of our area as well and state area. Hi Diane, I'm writing you today from my mother, the property owner, and myself, wondering if you had heard anything back from the state. We did, didn't we?
Did, yeah, the state.
But
can't do
he
anything.
didn't get that information. In regards to the end of Cranberry Lane, I had to have the police involved last week because the neighbor was crossing the end of the road again onto our property. The police were unable to do anything because we do not have clear markers. We have
So
called a
we
few
should-
different places for a land survey to have a fence put up, but there is an issue because one of my markers is under the cul-de-sac.
Okay, I can answer that real quick. It's a civil matter. What the complainants have to do is get their land surveyed. They'll find the marker and
Even under the cul-de-sac,
they will find it because they'll do
when the
triangulation.
subdivision,
They will do the triangulation to find it.
okay, because I'm just gonna finish reading the letter,
Okay.
okay? When the subdivision was first approved, the cul-de-sac was supposed to be temporary. My neighbor is confused on where his property line is because he has cut almost all of the trees down between our property that aren't on his property either. I have pictures that I had sent before. It's cleared down to nothing back there. Matt, have you seen it?
His backyard? or
It's
side yard?
nasty. It's in between the two houses that aren't his land either,
Are you talking the left side or the right side of the road as you're going?
right in the middle.
Side, the right, the,
The guy on the
On the
right
right.
is the one cutting it, and he was selling, to add insult to injury, he was selling the wood down there. He had to sign lumber for sale. So, I went down and took a lot of pictures and gave them to Joan, which is why she sent the
you
letter to
forward
the
the pictures?
state. I can send them to you too. I'm gonna send
Thank
this
you.
whole letter to everybody. I just wanted to, last year I had the town administrator down, attached with the pictures of the zoning map. What I really wanted was to find out about that marker under the,
They have to find it.
they have to find
They
it,
have
even
to
though
find
we paved it over it.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna give
It
this to
wasn't the same.
Andrew, and
This
I'm
is,
gonna forward it to Joan so that you can get the information back from the state to this guy. That the letter you wrote, he hasn't gotten a copy of what happened, so he's wondering if we actually ever did anything.
this is civil matter, right?
I talked to him on the phone, but I'll check.
Well, it's civil and he's unlawful.
Because she,
Yeah.
we didn't see him take the trees down, so we don't
it's
know when that happened.
allegedly at this point.
Allegedly,
So
okay.
let's-
Yeah.
Let's not get into
Can't even
that.
get into that.
I think the
Okay.
channels, the proper channels are being taken, so let's
Okay,
leave it at that for now.
okay. That's-
Any other
I-
business?
I've turned it over.
All right, any other business? Does anybody have anything?
The rainfall report,
Oh, yeah,
for
rainfall
April?
report. Yep,
there was 8.87 liquid inches, 2 inches of snow.
Okay.
For April.
Liquid inches.
Did you want to talk about the state coming in too?
Yeah, I added that kind of at the end, the state in
Mr.
conjunction
Chairman,
with
I'm gonna have to leave.
okay,
You got 10 minutes.
running a little late. Yeah, the state is holding a site walk in conjunction with the cooperative extension through UNH, next Thursday, the 13th. Yeah, at 5 PM,
For the statewide?
5 to 7.
5 to 7 PM.
Yep.
Okay.
Matt sent that out today, but I just thought it might be nice to let the public kind of know
5/13,
about
May
it. so-
13th?
Yeah, it's been posted on town website
Excellent.
currently. Do we want to review
got
the
that,
minutes
right?
of April 1st, or do we want to push that to next?
Push it.
All right, so we'll review and approve the minutes of April 1st, 2021 at our June 3rd meeting. Public. Is this something that we can carry over to June?
Reputation, is it a?
This
No.
is, this is
This
D, which is
negotiation
related to
only.
the state.
It should be.
I think it should be discussed because
Yeah.
time is of the essence.
Right,
Yeah, I think we
okay.
should discuss.
Speaking of
All right.
one, Dan,
Well,
was
do
it
I-
you-
We have to go into.
Make a motion that we go into non-public.
Second.
All right, discussion, do we have to do a roll call?
Yep.
All right, roll call. Michael? Aye. Andrew?
Roll call.
What are we doing? Sorry.
Roll call vote for non-public.
Aye.
Aye.
And aye. Aye. All right, we're in non-public. Thank you for tuning in tonight.
Hey, Russ, turn us off. I don't.